Hello people, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. This is Sorin and today we're gonna review all tanks that you can get for bonds. Bonds are a really rare currency that you can get through playing clan wars, through playing campaigns, to getting through completing the campaign missions, playing tier 10s and so on and so forth. So make sure that you're spending the bonds on items that you actually need because those are hard to get currencies. It's not like you can just farm them. Well, probably you can farm them by just playing like tons of tier 10s, but keep that in mind that those are pretty rare, and on top of that they can get you good items, for example the bond equipment and probably clan wars reward tanks. So without further ado, let's begin into the video, starting off with ranked battles reward. First tank is the Charlemagne. This vehicle, it's in my opinion not the best one to pick, but because it's a special, maybe you can get it at a discount. But yeah, it's pretty much like tier 8 premium that you can get for 8,000 bonds, but you pay 15,000 bonds just because it's a special clan wars. Actually, clan wars, it's a special ranked vehicle. The rest of the vehicle for 40 alpha damage, it's okay. You do feel like heavy. Gun accuracy, it's not good. DPM is not good. Mobility, it's okay. The armor, it's manageable. I mean, it plays like a usual heavy. You're playing like frontline and everything like that. It does make more credits. It does make crew training, but at this point there is not really a big point why you should buy it, and therefore I will say personally to save your bonds. You don't get the Charlemagne if you're not a tank collector, because as I mentioned, it doesn't really worth that much. Next vehicle, it is the Concept 1B. This is a new tank that I really wanna get in my garage. This is a tier 9 heavy tank with a really good gun. Kind of on the lower side of the DPM compared to the other tier 9 American tanks, like the M103 gets 2500 DPM, for example. In terms of the turret armor, it's really good. It's such a small silhouette, but once people are gonna load hit, this is gonna be a weak point. You do have really good mobility. I mean, 21 power to weight ratio is really good. Top speed is not the best, but you can always use a turbocharger to make it faster. You have good view range, and as I mentioned, the tank, it's really solid for a heavy, and I think it's among the more competitive tanks out there. 310 hit penetration is not as good as the 340 that you get on the other American rivals, but it still does the job, and it does have those funky angles, and in the hands of a good player this vehicle will reward you. Next, 20,000 bonds. Is it really worth it? Because this tank is an exclusive ranked battle, probably yes. Probably, for example, to me, I will actually prefer to buy it just because I can use it for missions, and just because it's unique. I can collect. It's a tank collector vehicle, and of course, if you play the rank, you can get this tank for maybe I think 12,500 bonds or less. But to 20,000 bonds, if you don't want, it's like if you don't want to throw your bonds out of the window, you can just wait for ranked and just buy it with a discount. But personally, 20,000 bonds for me, it doesn't really. I will not spend 20,000 bonds on this vehicle, but on the Pathfinder 50T, a tank that I already bought, I actually spend on it because that vehicle, it's more flexible, and let's actually show it in the garage because I have it. And with this vehicle, I feel like I have everything much better than the other tanks that I can get on my hand. And for example, the T45A, yeah, it's good, but it's out of the meta. The Panzer, you cannot really play aggressive, you cannot do bouncing missions. But this vehicle, with this setup, I mean, you do have the gun, you have the DPM, you have the mobility, you have the turret armor, you have everything. You have view range. Well, you don't really have view range, but you have camouflage. This tank is it works so much better than the Concept. And on top of that, you don't have that hit weak points because, as I mentioned, not the A phase one, the Concept 1B has that flat armor, and once people are gonna load heat, it is gonna go right through that heavy tank armor. So Concept 1B, it's worse than 50T, Panzer 50T in my opinion. So as I mentioned, you first buy the 50T, then you buy the Concept. That will be my ideal ideal pick for you. And the last tank in this type of series is the Skoda T45. This is a tier 7, and not many people buy it. It's like it's again one a tank that you don't really, if you don't really want to, it's like if you have way too many bonds and you just want to throw them out of the window, you can buy this vehicle because, well, really, if you want a credit maker or a crew, like a crew maker, crew training vehicle, you can just buy the Skoda T46, I think it's called, the Tier A premium, and has 920 alpha damage in like 3.5 seconds. You're an autoloader, you have good gun, you have everything to boot. This vehicle is just probably like a worse 25 TP in my opinion, to my eyes, but some people might like it, some people might not like it, or yeah, it is what it is. It is a vehicle that is out there maybe once again for collectors, but yeah, let's go back to actually what this video was supposed to do, and that is the tanks that you can get for bonds. Starting off with a 113 Beijing Opera. It's more like only you get 15. You pay 15k bonds just to get yourself zero. I think a brothers in arms crew and a skin. That's all you get for this. So the vehicle is copy paste of the 113 that you can get it through your collector vehicle, or you can get it through your tech tree. I'm not really sure. Let me actually double check. That is Chinese, and no, yes, it's actually a copy paste vehicle of the collector. So I will not recommend anyone to spend 15,000 bonds just to get yourself a crew and a skin. So moving on, next, the first Clan Wars reward vehicle. It is the 121B, and like I said, the 121B is still a good vehicle. You have good view range, you have good gun, you have good EPM, you have a really good hit pen of 350, good hash rounds. You have some turret armor, I mean it's rounded, you have the cupolas, but you're medium tanks, good mobility, and overall the tank it's alright, it's decent. I will not say that is the best for a new player, but in the hands of a good player, the 121B is actually a good pick. But once again, you can actually buy this vehicle off auctions if you play the Clan Wars campaign. Next, you have the FV215P, which this tank used to be actually a tech 3 tank. Now for 12,000 bonds to get yourself a tier 10 that is worse than everything. I will not say that is the best pick. Maybe if you're once again a collector, I will not really say that this tank is out of like maybe if this vehicle was in 2014, yeah, I'll say buy this vehicle, but now only the gun is good, the armor is not good, they are not flexible, and the S-Conk is just so much better. This vehicle is probably for the lovers, maybe for these games out there, and everyone that used to love this vehicle in the past. But I believe everyone who used to love this vehicle in the past, they already have it in their garage. But yeah, not armor, is the same armor layout as the FV15B 183, the Death Star AK, and I believe mostly of you that have the Death Star might know how that armor feels like. Actually, you get hit in the front and you're gonna get set on fire. So yeah, once again, I will say a big no to the FE15P. Next, we have the IS-5. This used to be once again a Clan Wars reward vehicle. It is actually called the Object 708 or something like that. But this vehicle, it's your typical Soviet heavy tank. It's mostly unique for its its history through World of Tanks, but the gun is trollish. You have a PCR standard. You have heat as your premium rounds. It is pretty much the same vehicle as the Kirovets one, as the IS-3A, as the IS-3, as the what else do you have out there? The other one that I review somewhere, the K2, yes, I6B and so on, but obviously this tank meets tier 10. So yeah, it's another copy-paste vehicle. So if you don't really have the other tanks, maybe you can just wait to, you know, get them. But yeah, once again, this one, it's a collector vehicle. It's something that you really don't want to play nowadays. because the gun control you. The armor it's overmatchable. You have the cupolas. The armor once again it's not really good, but obviously it's a Russian vehicle, so maybe RNG will love you. So once again, I do not recommend buying this vehicle. So keep your bonds inside your pocket. Next, the KV4 Krev Slavsky, I think is this one. This one is the heavy tank, is not a tank destroyer. Okay, so you have the same gun as you have on the KV4, and I can say on the KV4, it's after the buffs, it is one of the best guns out there at tier 8, and the KV4 Krebslavsky, it's I don't know, it's missing something. I mean, you don't have like fully traversable turret, as far as I know. You do have a lot of hit points. You have or armor that gets penetrated by premium rounds, of course. You are pretty slow. Um, you have for 15 power to ray ratio with maybe a turbo. You can use it as a run build, but the armor is flat. The DPM sucks, but you have once again a good APCR pen, and you don't really have the much flexibility. Actually, you do have 7 degrees of gun depression, but yeah, you're not really flexible. On top of that, you're back turreted tank pretty much. Actually, no, it's straight in the middle, so it has its unique playstyle to say so. But once again, this is more of a meme vehicle than a competitive vehicle, so Kraslavsky it's once again pretty much avoided. Next, we have a tank destroyer on our list. This is the T103, and it's actually a really good vehicle, and I will recommend you guys if you don't have a tank destroyer from Russians, if you don't have the SU-130 PM or whatever vehicles are out there as premium tanks, this tank might be actually the good choice for you. Obviously, you're a big chunky tank. You actually have some turret armor. You can actually bounce shells here and there. You have a cupola, but once again, the armor is trollish once you get hit in the turret. The gun itself, you have good DPM, you have 440 alpha damage, you have really good AP. I think it's premium round. 307 AP pen, it's really good, or hit, or whatever it is. The gun feels okay, and obviously you have some hit points, you have some armors. Mobility, it's okay, it's decent for this kind of tank. You can play it even the heavy. If you're playing in the city, you can just play with heavies instead of doing like typical sniping stuff. So yeah, we'll actually spend for 8,000 bonds on this premium vehicle if you don't have a sniper or actually a tank destroyer that can train your crew for Russian vehicles. So yeah, this vehicle is a yes from my side. Next, we have the Strv. Oh shit! This is Strv 81, and it's the same vehicle I think as the Prima Victoria or a Centurion 1. So yeah, I will not say buy this vehicle just because the DPM is low. The DPM is not good. The 230 alpha damage is not good. The penetration it's okay. I mean, 226 on standard and 258 on premium. It's decent for a medium tank. You don't have the turret armor. We actually don't have. Do have some turret armor, but it is like a Centurion 1 kind of turret. So yeah, you do have mobility because you're a medium. You have view range, but yeah, the tank is not really. Not everyone is gonna perform well in this vehicle, and that's my thought on it. You do have the 10 degrees of gun diffraction. You do have 400 meters view range, but for 230 alpha damage, I'd rather play a T44 100 or something more that has like more soul into it. This one is just, probably not for me, probably not for you, and probably it's one of the least played vehicle out there. So yeah, for an STRV 81, I said avoid it. Next, we go back to some Russian vehicles. We have ourselves the KV, the one and only the KV5, a true Mimits vehicle. This vehicle is a preferential matchmaking tank, which means you can meet up to 7 tier 9 at worst. So pretty much you're gonna meet tier 8s. And fighting the tier 8s, you have not the best penetration. You have, oh, I clicked on something, sorry for that. You have 196 meters of penetration, which can, if you aim for weak points, you can actually penetrate, but if you load the APCR, is an amazing 219. So it's pretty much the same penetration as you will have on some standard rounds. So yeah, you might actually want to spend to fire a lot of APCRs, but as awesome epic guys say it, if you cannot penetrate, ram them. And in terms of the ramming, you are a 100-ton vehicle with a decent top speed. So maybe if you want to give yourself like another 600, 700 alpha, you can just ram vehicles to there, like medium tanks, maybe heavy tanks as well. So yeah, in terms of the competitiveness is not the best vehicle. You have big weak points over here. You are a huge profile. You can side scrape actually in this vehicle, but 300 alpha damage is kind of outdated, and 350 meters we're like what you are gonna do on Prohorovka, Malinovka, and you cannot really do anything. So yeah, this vehicle it's alright situational kind of vehicle. It's as I mentioned, if you can ram someone, you can just maximize your damage output, or if there are any mods that like we had for the pumpkin bash or whatever was called, where you can just use abilities to have fun. But 8000 bonds for a vehicle that is a meme itself, probably I will not recommend to you guys, but probably for YouTube content I will actually buy this vehicle just to entertain some of you. Next, the M8 M46KR. This is I don't know, it's like I don't know how to I really don't know how to explain this vehicle, but I think it's more like a pattern itself, and the more like the tier 9 pattern, but with 240 alpha damage gun, kind of uh, forgotten penetration, 240, actually 243 on APCR is good, but once again 240 alpha damage, the DPM it's alright, the gun should be alright, Nigris gun depression, it's your typical American medium. It's actually your typical medium tank that has the gun depression. The armor is non-existent pretty much. You can actually bounce something here and there. Mobility, it's typical medium on the lower side. You have good fury range, some concealment, but it requires some skill to play this vehicle. And sorry, I dropped something. Yes, it requires some skill to play this vehicle, so for mostly of you, I will not recommend. But if you really enjoy the pattern, you might actually buy this vehicle. But as I said, maybe 5% of people will actually buy it, and the other 195 will not spend that much amount of bonds on it. Because let's face it, there are much better vehicles out there. So once again, I will say no to this vehicle. Do not buy this vehicle. Do not spend the bonds. And I click that? Okay, finally I can click. Moving on, we have the Senlac, and we have a controversial vehicle over here, because this vehicle is actually much better than the Tech 3 variant. You have an 180 alpha damage, we have 223 meters of penetration on APCRs, 189 on stun, so it's actually manageable. Like you can actually deal some damage because you actually have some DPM on this vehicle. You actually have 2000 base, good accuracy, depression. You have concealment, okay, and 410 meters view range. Oh boy, this vehicle is actually a true scout, a passive scout, but not a damage dealer. We don't have any armor. No hit points. You're actually quite a small silhouette, and your gun is actually placed really up, so you can actually pick on reach lines and just annoy enemies with your 180 alpha damage. In terms of mobility, it's good. You have plenty of mobility, and you can just put everything towards the concealment and towards the spotting. So this can be actually a good scout, and I will actually recommend, because this is the only vehicle that can get it from the British Lights, and I believe there is no other competitors other than a Senlac. So I'll say yeah, if you have Manticore, you can actually buy this vehicle and pay the tier 8, because it's much better than the tier 8, maybe the tier 9 and the tier 10 as well. Next, we do have Chrysler GF. This is the skin version of the Wargaming League, by the looks of it, the Clan Wars or something like that. And this vehicle is still really good size scraper in tier 8. Gun penetration wise, standard arm was really good. You need to fire up all APCRs. DPM it's basic. The gun stabilization it's okay. You don't have the gun depression, so on the city maps you're gonna be smiling. On the open maps with lots of ridges you're gonna be crying. Mobility is really good, actually the power to air ratio is really good, and the view range it's quite good for heavy as well. And if you enjoy back-turreted tanks and if you really want to do some blocking missions, because this vehicle has kind of a sturdy armor till people will find the weak point, I will actually say that it's a decent pick, because I believe there are not other back-turreted tanks in the American line. But think to yourself, do you have the Renegade? If you do have, you do not need to buy this vehicle. If you have other vehicles in your garage from America, do not buy this vehicle. But as I mentioned, this tank has a unique playstyle, and probably I will buy this vehicle just to just to have some fun into it, just to to remember the days where I used to play the ISM. Um, so yeah, that was all about the Chrysler GF. So once again, I will say do not buy it really, but if you are really a fan of back-turreted tank destroyer and can just make them work, probably this vehicle it's a good pick for you. But I think once again, 8,000 bonds. Are these meaning a lot to you? Are these meaning not a lot to you? So yeah, next we have a vehicle that, oh boy, the M41D. This is the Chinese premium vehicle with 170 alpha damage, 192 penetration. The goal around the penetration is actually okay. Good DPM, you have plenty of flexibility. You're a large silhouette as well, so you're not really a light tank. No armor, good mobility, 400 meters, 410 meters view range is alright, but this vehicle it's really it's not on everyone's taste. As I mentioned, if you really want a good scout, you can like get a better deal from the Senlac. And of course, the Chinese vehicles are not, the Chinese light tanks are not really popular, and they are worse than others, to say so. So yeah, the M41D, do not get this vehicle, especially if it's gonna be your first light as well. The Senlac is gonna be much better choice. So avoid the M41D as well. Next, we have a vehicle from France as well. This one is, I think it's an OG, and this vehicle is a skin version of the MX M49, a vehicle that I have. And I can say that this gun, oh man, I was crying so much with this gun. I don't know why. All guns like this, all guns with 300 penetration and 232 penetration, I think you're gonna be meeting a lot of them on this line, especially at tier 7, tier 8, tier 9, and probably tier 10 on the budget, the stock budget. Those tanks have something special. It's like you're fully aiming shots, and some of them are like going out of the reticle. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it's been happening to me and a lot of streamers as well. And I don't know what's the RNG with these vehicles, but having all this out of the way, the turret, the upper plate is good. Those things are gonna be a weak point, so you want to face one enemy at a time. Just face them dead on. It's really good face hugging tank as well. Good, pretty much good ramming as well, because this vehicle weighs like 70 tons. You do have the hit points. You do have really good AP penetration, and on APCRs is 263. So yeah, you can manage to make them work. 1,000 meters shell velocity. It's once again pretty decent. The accuracy and the aiming time are they're gonna annoy you, and sometimes they're gonna be feeling pretty decent. But 10 degrees of gun depression, you have a cupola that if you learn to wiggle, go back and forth, you're gonna make it work. The DPM it's pretty low, but I don't know, I just feel like because I have so much survivability, I can manage to make my DPM last longer and get more shots out. And obviously, because you're a taller vehicle, you're gonna shoot down into the upper plates, and you're gonna get yourself a slightly better penetration on your rounds as well. There's the mobility, it's mediocre. On 370 meters view range, it's not really decent. This vehicle, how can I describe it? I can say that among the first player, because this was like my first premium tank, I can actually say that it's a decent choice, but no, I think it's a decent vehicle, but it requires your time to get bond with it. But once again, if you have like the Somo SM, there is no point in buying this vehicle. because the Somua it's an autoloader, you are dealing 5 times as much damage and then you are running away and you do the same thing as well. But this is your typical heavy, and as I mentioned, you might actually buy this vehicle because I can make a review on the MX-M4 M49. I can just, and you can just watch it and decide yourself. But I cannot really give either because I had so many good and bad memories with this vehicle, and it is insane. Next, the T43, the T34-3, and this is a Chinese medium tank that hits hard. It's pretty much like this vehicle. I think it has preferential matchmaking, and it's a worse 122 TM. The 122 TM has much better gun, much better penetration, but this vehicle is like an aggressive medium. It's obviously it's not accurate. You have 250 hit pen, which is good, which is decent. The aiming time is actually decent. The depression is actually decent as well for this kind of vehicle, and the armor. I think once you're gonna get hit in the front, you're gonna get set on fire because I believe this is how the vehicle works. But yeah, it's more of an aggressive medium tank. Obviously, because you have 390 alpha damage, once you're gonna do 2000, if you're gonna do 2000 damage, you're gonna make tons of credits. Well, not tons, but decent amount. And is this vehicle for a beginner? Well, possibly we can learn you how to side scrape, how to shoot a gold, but for 8000 points, are there better picks? Well, as I mentioned, the 122 TM can be a better vehicle that you got it through the marathon, but 8000 points, well, yeah, once again, I will say probably not. And oh boy, I'm being what's called I don't know how to say, but I only mentioned about the T103 and the Senlac. There are actually decent vehicles. The other one are not really worth the money. Oh, the Schmutz we have next. Ah, come on. I actually have the Schmutz. I got it from an auction for like 3 million credits or 4 million credits. I don't know how much I bid for it. But the Schmutz is a vehicle that you don't want to buy. You don't want to play with it. I mean, it's decent. Like, yeah, you can make it work, but at this point, it's like, why you're playing a Schmutz? You have way better choices. But once again, as I mentioned, throughout this video, if you're a collector, maybe you want to pick this version of the Schmutz that actually has like a skin. Actually, and doesn't even have a skin; it has a paint. But yeah, there is no point in review this vehicle. Do not buy it. It's it's a situation vehicle that it's doing worse than the like the Capazander 07 RH or whatever. But yeah, the Schmutz. It's don't buy the Schmutz. Next, we have the Alpine Tiger. This is the a skin version of the WZ111. It's actually a really nice skin. I mean, actually, you're paying 8,000 bonds for, well, not you're not paying 8,000 bonds, but pretty much you're getting a 3D style, which actually looks really, really nice. And in terms of the vehicle, it's once again preferential matchmaking. You have 250 hit pen, which is much better than the i6 and the a6B. The DPM is good, the gun is trollish, no gun depression, but the armor is worse than you'll have on the 112, and it's pretty much like lower plate is paper, those things it's spike nose, you're gonna get penetrated by everything, but pretty much you're a support heavy, you're not really that kind of heavy that goes at the front and just bounce everything. But the mobility, it's mediocre, it's decent, and you actually have some view range. But probably you'll want to spend 8,000 points just to get like a really nice skin and just be like everyone like, oh, look at this look at this guy has such a nice skin on his WZ. But keep in mind you might actually want to spend a lot of credits on the hit just to be more competitive. But yeah, the tank is not competitive into today's meta. And that was everything that we had for the moment for tier 8, because we actually have some vehicle that we bought and we're gonna talk about them later. Next we have the tier 6 Tiger 131, and this vehicle it's the same as I believe the Tiger H or whatever Tiger it's no, the Japanese Tiger actually is supposed to say. You have some DPM, 220 alpha damage. DPM it's good. Gun obviously stabilization is good because it's an 88mm. 1060 hit points. It's manageable. The mobility is quite meh, and overall it's a tier 6. So are you really gonna play tier 6s? If yes, probably you will actually want to play something better, but it's copy pasted, such as the for tier 6 that I asked. It's actually a tournament clan, not clan, it's tournament tank. It is the one and only, the VK3601H. This vehicle has much better hit points, and it's pretty much a copy paste slicker vehicle than the Tiger is. But once again, I will not spend 5,000 bonds to get myself a Tiger, or probably a worse vehicle than the Tech 3 variant. Next, we have the Panzer 4S, or I don't know what's the S stand for. Now I will say that by this vehicle, this is once again a collector. Oh, this is the Schmalturm. Of course, how could I forget? Yeah, you don't get this vehicle. It's a collector vehicle. 135 damage. Like really, in this instance, you might actually want to pay like a VK, the tier 6 medium VK, and you'll probably be doing the same, and probably for free. Yeah, pretty slow. View range is okay for this tier, but yeah, I don't have any armor. You are just tall. The Leffe baguette is gonna love you, and yeah, you're not gonna really enjoy. You're not gonna enjoy yourself for those ones. So yeah, that was the story with the Schmutz. Next, we have the tier 5, the Hydrostat, and I actually don't know what am I supposed to say. It's like a Panzer 4, but it is for bond. It's 3,000 bonds, and yeah, I cannot really review this vehicle. It's a collector vehicle. If you want to buy it, obviously you're gonna pay 2-3 battles in it, and then maybe you're gonna dust it. But yeah, don't buy the tier 5 as well. And the T45, this one vehicle, it's 1,500 bonds. You actually could get this vehicle from an Normandy event or something like that. There's so much history I had to remember for this video. But yeah, once again, it's a tier 5. You actually might want to play like 1-2 battles, and then finito, that's it. 1,500 bonds, I cannot say that is the most expensive vehicle, but you could actually spend those vehicles, or maybe directive or something better. Now, vehicles that I actually own, and that is the one and only the M60. The M60 was a tank that I actually bought it. I didn't know why I bought it, but I felt like it was much better than the Patton back then. And I can say like, yeah, it's a much sniper version of the Patton. Good DPM, good gun, 9 degrees of down depression, a big cupola, some turret armor that got buffed recently. Good mobility, I will say. You have plenty of view range. You have 120 meters, so you can actually be a secondary spot. But 15,000 points, as I mentioned, you could probably get along better with buying the Kappazander, or maybe the concept. I don't know if this tank it's actually, the concept is much better than this. Next, we have the Foch 155, and oh boy, this vehicle used to be the Tech 3 vehicle. You have 750 alpha damage, times that by 3. You have a magazine reload of 47 seconds. So for that 47 seconds, you can just go, cook, take a shower, and you'll still reloading. But once you're reloaded, you can just deal 2,250 alpha damage inside 10 seconds. Obviously, if you manage to connect your shells. On paper, the accuracy is okay, but you're gonna miss 2 out of the 3. So yeah, this vehicle is really situational. In terms of the price, I actually don't know how much this tank might be for. I think it's 12,000 bonds. But I bought this vehicle off the auction. I spent 20 million credits. And if you ask me, 20 million credits, it's much easier to get other than 12,000 bonds. So don't get a Foch. Easy as that. Oh, next you have the M4190 GF. This vehicle is I actually quite enjoy this vehicle for a light tank. It's not your typical light tank. Why is that? Because you are not really made for scouting. You're made to be played like a medium. This is what I like to think about this vehicle, because you have really good alpha. Well, 240 it's really good for a tier 8. You have really good DPM, and the gun obviously has really good stabilization, 8 degrees of gun depression, and on top of that you are sneaky pretty much if you put my crew into it. um, you have like, yeah, you're not the sneakiest, as I mentioned, you're not your typical light tank. On top of that, you do have some range to make it work, but you have really good HE rounds, 102 penetration and 320 alpha damage, which means your DPM is gonna go above like 3k easily. And if you're gonna see a light tanks, and you can just have fun with them. So yeah, this vehicle is really good at countering light tanks in a 1v1 fight. And personally, I will say that actually you can actually spend like 8,000 bonds on this vehicle, but only if you like to stat pad. Maybe if you want to increase your WN8, if you know how to play like a medium. Yeah, it's pretty much like a medium vehicle, but in a light form. But as I mentioned, for passive scouting, is really good at the Senlac. For damage dealer, you can actually get along better with the M41 GF. How did I get the GF? Well, I bought this vehicle once again for auction for 5 million credits, so I really enjoyed playing with it. The guard, I have so roller coaster emotion with this vehicle, because I have tried so hard to trim out this vehicle, but it is so team dependent and map dependent. Why is that? DPM is not good, is really lackluster. The gun is trollish, on paper is good, but the gun can't troll you. 60 degrees of gun depression is quite bad. The turret armor is getting penetrated by everything. You're a small silhouette, you get engine fire. Um, you're pretty sneaky, kind of, and you cannot really have the best fury engine to it. Is like, if you, even with food and good good crew, you barely get over 460 meters, and yeah, you can do some spotting, but I rely on spotting for mark of excellence. But once again, to do damage, 390 alpha damage, to 212 on AP and 248 on APCRs with low shell velocity. Um, yeah, I will say avoid this vehicle, but yeah, I will say that the guard is actually worse than the T103, but as a medium tank, I think it's is it worse than the T34-3? I think so, because this tank it's not preferential matchmaking, and the T43, the T34-3 is actually a bit better, but this is probably my opinion. And out of this vehicle, I believe this is like the T34-3 is actually much better medium tank out there. Next, we have the Lorraine 40T, and obviously I bought this vehicle from the bond store. I spent 8,000 bonds, and what can I say this vehicle? Remember what I said about the MX? Yes, this gun handling. I don't know how you are just aiming fully and you're missing. Um, Instead of the Lorraine, I actually quite enjoy this vehicle. You're an ambush vehicle. You do 1,200 damage every like 34 seconds, like 40 seconds. Your DPM is not the greatest, but considering you have a magazine, it's decent. Once again, the gun is trollish, but something can be your best friend. You don't have any armor, so make sure that you know what you're doing, because you're a huge silhouette and easily penetratable. You're fast, you're really fast for a medium, and you do have some concealment as far as I remember with the crew, and you can actually do some spotting as well. So this is the story with the Lorraine. It's the only autoloader premium tank in here, so if you enjoy autoloader, this vehicle might be good for you. But if you ask me, probably you could buy this vehicle if you don't have any autoloaders for France. Next, the i6B. Once again, a vehicle that actually I don't really know since when I have the i6B, but I really love the armor, and I feel like the armor is much better than the VZ. Whereas the VZ, I remember um, I reviewed some. Okay, there is It's much better than the Alpine Tiger, the armor, but the gun, I think it's superior on the Alpine Tiger because they do have that hit. In terms of the tank itself, you have obviously 390 alpha damage, AP pen of 196, AP CRs as well, a lot of hit points, your roof, it's penetratable. You're pretty slow, but you're okay. You're just taking your time to, to know what your life decisions are. And let's actually take a look at my this vehicle. Okay, so we played 126 battles and average 1000 what is this XP. We never actually managed to ace it, so yeah. And in terms of that, we're pretty much 85% of the mark of excellence. And I guess really, yeah, this vehicle is really solid even for a beginner. But keep in mind that your penetration is a bit low, so you might actually want to load some APCRs, and you want to try to yeah, for weak points. But I have stopped playing with this vehicle once K2 managed to get into my garage. Back to the bronze shop, that was the i6P, and I can see that, yeah, once again, the i6P, it's a solid vehicle. It's really good to block enemy shells. Next, the Patriot. The Patriot, it's once again a tank that has really low alpha damage, but I quite enjoy the APCRs. 230 penetration, your APCR pen is like 259, okay, that's really good, it's decent, but the problem is once you're firing APCRs and you're having 240 alpha damage, you're gonna go into depth. You do have 10 degrees of gun depression, your turret it's sturdy to bounce some shells, but I never rely on it, and once again the tank requires a bit of skill. In terms of mobility, it's okay. It's not really the fastest, but it keeps up. And your crew looks like this. And with the crew inside, you have pretty much, you can actually do some spotting for yourself as well. But is this vehicle really worth the bonds? Well, probably not. But it's once again, it's flexible. It's more flexible than a Chrysler, so I let you decide. Um, Next, we have the T23E3. I remember this vehicle, I managed to get it through Clan Wars, and this vehicle, it's a meme itself. It's a collector vehicle. You have 115 damage and 149, and I think 199, or actually 190 on your gold rounds. You do have like 2500 DPM, which is insane. The gun itself is really good, considering it's 75mm, it's really good. Armor it's not existent, but you have 10 degrees of gun depression, so you can work range lines and just annoy your enemies with your PPU gun. You're pretty fast as well. You do have the camo, you can spot as well. You can rely on a spot if you want to mark this vehicle, but I really don't know how much this vehicle worth. Probably like another 8k or something like that bonds, but yeah, to do good damage. Oh, something happened with our store. No, please don't let me don't let me down right now. Okay, so the T23-3, I will not say buy this vehicle just because to have a good score into it is gonna take you plenty of shells and plenty of hits and maybe some APCRs as well. So yeah, it's more of a collector vehicle once again. The IS6 IS2S. This is like another IS that we have at the tier 7. There are like 9 or 7 ISs at tier 7, but this one is shielded. You could get this vehicle for free by playing the Normandy event, well, like another Normandy event that we had long ago. And I guess this vehicle is really solid and I kind of enjoy it. So obviously it's your typical IS, but you have some screen protections, you have like some wiring and that's all, and probably like a fancy skin, which I like. And there's nothing really to review about it. It's like an IS, but it's premium and it have an S at your name. But comparing to the Chinese version of the ISIS, you have APCRs with 217 penetration instead of the 250. So yeah, if you really are an IS lover, you can just go ahead and buy the IS2. But other than that, you can avoid it. Next, we have the M10 RBFM. I believe once again it's like another Normandy event that happened some time ago. And if you really want to annoy tier 5 people or tier 6 people or tier 4, yeah, this tank actually might be the best pick for you if you really want to buy yourself a tier 5. This vehicle has one of the best scans that I saw in World of Tanks. Good EPM, good stabilization, 10 degrees of depression, but guys, don't seal club, please don't do that. You don't have armor, you don't have hit points, you're pretty mobile for a it's like a Wolverine vehicle, but French. And obviously with this setup you have plenty of view range with the binoculars, and I can say that this vehicle is worth your bonds, but it's a tier 5, so no one is gonna play tier 5, and once again, don't seal club, guys, please. And hopefully I managed to give all my opinion on all of this vehicle, and hopefully I clear some of you guys whether we should buy one and whether we should get a tank or they should not. But as you saw from my opinion, there are like really little vehicles that actually are worth the bones. They are worth the grind and worth the time spent, because getting 8,000 bones, let's be honest, is gonna take you some time and a lot of time. So you better buy something that is good. So as far as I remember from top of my head, it's a straight yes. Is that the T103 as the tank destroyer. The Senlac, it's a really good scout. Probably the GF is gonna be good if you are enjoying yourself with the back turreted. For the medium goes to the T34-3. Another good tank probably is the M449 Liberty. Another good light tank that is a damage dealer is the GF. A good autoloader is the Lorraine. A good heavy tank that can bounce is the SXP. And a good tier 7 probably the IS2S, and of course the M40 and the M10 RBFM as a tier 5. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video, guys, and on top of that you have the ranked rewards. And yeah, let me know what video it should be next. Oh my god, I've been talking for an hour. Nearly an hour. So yeah, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more of those kind of videos. Don't forget to leave a like, a comment, or with what you should see next. And I'll catch you later, guys. Bye bye.